at this meeting, please correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Flood was there. 500,000 was coming from the state. Now, you're looking at the state here. 500,000 was coming from the federal. We're federal because we're all taxpayers. Then we're looking at this sewage, water, the land for $1. You know, in a nutshell, why don't we just pay your gas and electric and say to heck with it? Give it all. Because pilot is a 5-letter word. And another 5-letter word is greed. And it appears to me that this is what we're talking about. If anyone walked into this meeting right now that didn't live in the community, they would have a lot to say. And furthermore, in closing, at this meeting that I went to, someone posed a question to Mr. Flood. Who does this group have to answer to? And with a chuckle from the board, including yourself, Mr. Flood, you said, and if you go back to the minutes, it's in those minutes, no, that you do not have to answer to anyone. That's amazing. So what we're looking for here today is a trophy for the dumb and dumber taxpayer, because that's all what this amounts to. Maybe I'm not the best speaker in the House. That's what this amounts to. And it's a shame. It started out with a lie, and a big lie. And how do you think this woman feels sitting here knowing that she's not related to you, nor is anybody in Columbia County on that board that bought that property related to her, but made that statement? And she traveled an hour and a half to come here today. Isn't that amazing?
Anybody else like to speak?
Hi, I'm Ellen Thurston, supervisor from Hudson. I just wanted to echo what Jeff Snyder was saying, that first of all, very few people read legal notices in the newspaper. And to merely put something in the legal notice is not adequate advertising, if you want to call it that, for a meeting like this. I would suggest that you either hold this hearing over so that it's again held in the town of Ghent and people know more about it, and to try to hold the meeting in the evening or early evening so that more people can come.
Just as a matter of question, what is the normal meeting times for your meeting? I'm sorry.
I can't hear you.
Okay, just as a matter of question, what is the normal routine meeting times for your meetings?
10 o'clock. Most of the public hearings that I've had are...
Well, I'm not talking about public hearing, I'm talking about the routine meeting, doing business as usual.
The IDA meetings?
IDA, CDBC, I'm not sure which one.
The IDA, well, we're not really related to the CDC. We have a specific statutory function for the IDA. But the IDA meets every other month in the morning at 8:30 at the 4303 49 office.
That's CDDC? CDDC meeting? Which?
Yeah, CDC meets once a month at the end of the month, the last fourth Thursday of the month, the same place.
Time? Time?
At 8:30 in the morning.
Oh, okay, 6 o'clock.
I was there at 6 o'clock.
No, that would have been the county board of supervisor meeting, no, the CDC. But I would say, I think, and Mr. Flood's here, he could answer this question. I believe it's the last Tuesday of every month,
That
correct?
is
Not
correct.
necessarily the fourth Tuesday,
That's right.
because I showed up once on the fourth Tuesday, but there was 5 Tuesdays. So I believe it's always the last Tuesday, correct?
Yes,
Thank
and the county is at 5.
Oh, he does.
But it's at 8:30 in the morning, the last Tuesday of every month for the CEDC. And I don't know about the county time, what time that is.
I'll throw a couple more things into the hopper. You know, the more I listen to this, the more I think, none of this had to be a controversy. It would have been simple to spare everybody all this, these meetings, until Ginsbergs don't like these meetings. People are irritated once they get here and start hearing about it. It's a simple way to eliminate the controversy, and that's for Ginsberg's to use its own money. Because as John Friedman pointed out, and it's quite evident, anybody who sees the Ginsberg's trucks all over the region, not just Columbia County, you have the means to get a loan. You have the means to spend $11 million. Why not make it $13 million? And then you don't have to go before the IDA and the CEDC. You still have to get your permits, or you have your permits. But you don't have to do any of this. Isn't that what the Republican Party stands for? Every time I turn on a TV commercial, isn't it about how we want to get government out of our business? And we want to get rid of all this welfare? Well, this is corporate welfare. So it's very simple. Buy the land for market value. Take out a loan if you don't have the cash, which I suspect you might. Send them the $1.5 million in credits and the rest of it back to the state. I mean, I'll take it down to a personal level. I recently bought a farm, paid with it for my own money. Went to Columbia Tractor, bought a tractor with my own money, bought a chainsaw with my own money, working the place, trying to get it in shape myself. I'm a Democrat. Either I'm in the wrong party, or the Republican Party doesn't believe what it's talking about. Because people involved with this deal, believe me, are 98% Republicans. So please be consistent in your ideology. Either do it yourself, buy your own bootstraps, the American way, or start running those ads on TV and having people on Fox News yelling at us all day long about the American way. Because this isn't the American way. I'll add something else. There's another giveaway in this. The board that Mr. Flood runs, in addition to the IDA, CDC, recently hired a PR firm. Well, the board didn't actually hire the PR firm. The board said we want a proposal for a PR firm. Mr. Flood, David Crawford, who works for Ginsberg, signed a contract anyway. $10,000 retainer, as I understand it, $4,000 of which has been spent. Interestingly, shortly thereafter, a big profile David Ginsberg appears in the Register Star, quoting nobody but him. So the board Mr. Flood runs is now doing PR. And they've said specifically, we need to do this to help Ginsberg. We can use Ginsberg to burnish our reputation as a bunch of old white guys. That's what they said in the minutes. So, in addition to everything we talked about, there's more giveaways, more giveaways, more giveaways. It's very simple. Use your own money, work with the neighbors to design it so that the neighboring farms, can continue to survive and not be deafened. Trucks backing practically into their lawn. I've been there. This facility is right up against the Runyon Farm and other neighbors. Work with them, use your own money, and you don't have to listen to me talk. And everyone will be really happy. Thank you.
Calvin was paid political announcement.
Anything else?
Yeah, the other alternative is they can leave the county, do it somewhere else, go to Albany. I mean, to be threatened that they're going to leave, let them leave. Let them go to Albany. Let them go to a place where there's a site and everything is suitable.
Well,
We won't miss them. That's it.
Okay. Mark?
Yeah, proud to say I'm not a Republican and I'm not a Democrat. I've been a registered independent party member since I turned 18, almost 30 years ago. Lived in Columbia County all my life. Well, lots was going on here and we're concerned about lots. I was in in healthcare, business first, and basically a businessman now. So I got definitely a yin and yang going with people and then business. I love both. As far as you guys as an IDA, the only other thing that is perception in this whole thing, what Sam talked about, is like it didn't have to happen. It just would have, the perception, the way it was manifested. Like, I wish I could have talked to David and the gang before. A lot of this, what turned out probably could have been avoided. Basically, I also looked on your website, and as counsel, you should just, all you have to do is read the section on code of ethics from the IDA website, and just look at section A. I'm not into law, and all that stuff. It's right there. You guys write. You have it written. Maybe you want to go back to the board before you have the next public hearing. At least look at that, because in there you might actually see something that was mentioned in today's meeting by the public. Just look at section A. I'm not a lawyer, but it's kind of fun. You got it written right there. Section A, B, C, D, E, F, and I think it went bad. So read those again and just understand why it is the public, and I think that board should understand why the public's a little bit wishy about this whole deal. It's just perception. We definitely have been handled in a different way. And that's about it. I just want you to know I love my county, and I love, can't live without, big business is big business, and it's private. I think the family will give back to our community in general and fill it out. But as far as ganging up and telling them as a business, you're always trying to save money as you're trying to build yourself and things of that nature. And if you could get some free cash to use to help you grow your business, to use to make it bigger and not come out of your pocket and save money, that's what business tries to do. You can't blame them for trying, and if they're successful at it, I guess that's the deal. But a businessman has to think how he can save money. My dad always said if you can save one tax dollar, paying the government one less tax dollar, it's like earning $2, So there's logic to that as a business owner. So there's can't fault them for trying and doing what they're doing, but we all could have blend a lot better this whole thing. Everybody have a win-win situation for Columbia County, the IDA, and the future of our county. That's what it's all about. I love this group of people. They come out and speak their minds, and it's sad to see the other side not come out and speak also on their feelings. But got to start somewhere, and I guess a public hearing is a thing. But you guys should have another one, and all those board members should be there. And you should give them counsel. Just check out some of the stuff they have written in their own website, in their own mission, and things that your mission and your purpose. Because you guys might learn something just by reading your own site.
Mark? Anything else? Turn back.
Yes. I'm going to mildly take exception to what Jefferson said about let them move. As much as I oppose placing Ginsberg's in that piece of property and the manner it's being done, I have an altruistic side of me too. I don't want to see Ginsberg leave Columbia County if it's possible. I want to see them build, if they have a model to build to, a future to build for, and create more employment. But let's do it at the basis of, like everybody else said, pay your taxes, pay your mortgage. The community will support you. We need you here. There's no question about that. But this whole thing, going on that property, doesn't fit, or it became a financial incentive. I don't know how the back door led to it. I don't concern myself with it now at this point. But I do want to see Ginsberg say, it's not against progress, it's not against business, it's that this thing has the smell and taste of a bad fit that's going to bother the residents of this community for a long time to come.
Okay, I'd like to let's try to see if we can't wrap this up. I don't want to cut anybody off, but just maybe you can make your final comments and we can get on with it today.
Yeah, when I said let them leave, I didn't literally meant let go to Albany, but if they're gonna keep threatening that they are going to leave, and which is why they should get special treatment with you guys, the zoning board, or all the other agencies which really have to examine what they're doing. And if they're gonna continuously say, we'll leave the county, call their bluff. Because that's what I was referring to.
Thank you. Okay.
I'd like to echo that as well, because I think for many of us, and I know these things are going to be, however they're spending them, and I see that John is taking notes over there, so I hope he gets this right, because I do not want Ginsberg to leave. I know David and Nancy, I'm on a board with Nancy. It has been insulting and disheartening to hear David, and I have not heard John say this, or Nancy, to say over and over that we're going to leave if we don't get what we want here. And it's felt threatening, and it's been, when you look at the big picture, and he was the president of the Columbia County Economic Development Corporation, I don't know for how long, and I think Sam mentioned this in his post today. He's the person that was out there encouraging people to come to Columbia County, to stay here, to be a part of it, to grow businesses here. Nobody in this room is anti-business, nobody. We're not anti-business, we're anti this kind, what's happening here. And I really think that's part of this story. And it's really, I don't know why they decided to go out and say those things, but I've heard it from many people that aren't in this room today. That has been extremely upsetting to people, and extremely disheartening. But the threat has been there, loud and clear. We're going to leave if you don't do what we want. And I don't know why anybody that's been here for 100 years, and I would turn it around and say, not only have they been good to the county has been good to them. And that's where I think the message that maybe they thought that part didn't come across. It came through loud and clear, we've been good to this county and you owe us this. And that did not resonate well with many people, me included. And I certainly don't want Ginsberg to leave. I'm happy they're here. I've always been happy they're here, but that message was the wrong message. So I wanted to just get that on the record.
Anything else? Yeah.
Okay, in closing, I'm now going to go back to how this piece of property was purchased for $1. Now, still going back to this, that to me, and trust me, I think everybody would know that I have no legal expertise of any. But the manner in which that piece of property was acquired from the very beginning, and I'm going to read this, was a very self-serving, calculating maneuver. From the very beginning, we're not going to phase 1, phase 2. To me, that was an illegal business deal from the get-go, from the very, very beginning. And then it just spun out of control. To now we have something of a magnitude that no one can handle. That it's going to, this was so big that they had to present it in phases. What's the deal? It started out very, very in a shady manner. Inherited, look it up in the dictionary. Very, 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 very shady. Not conclude with that.
Anything else?
Tom Runyon. Tom. Put a little perspective. take somebody like the Cantellis, there's 2 Cantellis up there. I don't want the precast business. Take the Nielsen Concrete, they were all existing businesses in this county too. Not here, but they had their own businesses elsewhere. They wanted to grow. They wanted to grow and needed more property, more land, more buildings, larger operations. So they paid market value for all the property, and they either borrowed the money or had the money for their own buildings. In other words, they did it under their own horsepower. And I don't believe they got any reduction in any of their taxes, property taxes, sales taxes. So as well, they contributed to the community. Now that's how business should be done. That's the correct way to do business. Now Mr. Ginsberg's got an existing business also. He wants to expand it a little bit. Great, expand it. But when this gentleman back here, he had mentioned that all businesses like to save money, and that's very true. And I'm sure Cantellis like to save money too, and they probably find their own ways of doing it. But they're not asking other people to give them money and do it for them. They do it through their own imaginative ways of cutting corners or being more efficient. That's how they do it. They didn't ask anyone else to give them anything. And there's a lot of virtue and honor in that kind of an entrepreneur. What you got going on here is a little bit different. It's not, if it can't survive on its own, doing it the way everyone else does it, then it's more of a debit to the community than it is to the asset. If I'm understanding correctly, there's a pilot that's coming to an end. That's an assessed value of $3 million, give or take, and that's what they're going to be paying the property taxes on. And they're asking for an extension of that, even though they're going to be adding on another initially $12 million of asset value. They're asking to be forgiven on taxes over a number of years, I don't know, whatever it is. It's a rather funny calculation you got going there. But in any event, there's going to be when they could be something that adds to the community as a whole. The approach to this expansion is doing just the opposite. It's drawing from the community. It's going to make Mr. Cantelli, Mr. Nielsen, and all the others in here less competitive and at a greater disadvantage because the tax base is shrinking for them because of deals like this. And so it makes it harder on them. Because their taxes have to go up because they're paying the fair market value, full market value, school and property taxes. So this kind of stuff going on, I think it's more meant to try and at least bring in some new businesses and help them get going rather than the existing operations that are going on in the county. And that would be a good thing to give them a little bit of a helping hand, a new enterprise. But to do something with a perfectly profitable, supposedly profitable existing business, it's not right. It's not correct, and I don't think that's your purpose. That's not what you're here to do. It's a little bit too much of an inside kind of operation. Kind of like Washington, D.C., everything's an inside deal. It's just a shame to see it going on here at the local level. The other thing you mentioned, and correct me if I'm wrong, did you mention that the property was purchased by the county?
It was purchased by Columbia Economic Development Corporation.
Was it purchased? Yeah. So Mr. Flood's comment that it was given to the county, is it correct?
I'm not aware of his comment on that. So.
Well, there was a paper.
I know the picture is not a disputable. I'm not really sure that Mr. Flood said that.
You say that again?
I'm not sure Mr. Flood ever said that.
Yeah. And I would agree with what that comment was. It was purchased. It was an outright purchase. The executor on that property, I spoke with him and confirmed that. So, I don't know where you get that kind of information. But you're on the inside, you have direct access. All the paperwork that would have taken place at that time, why you wouldn't check that before you make that kind of statement is very irresponsible. And you got a kind of smirky look on it, like, and that's,
Let me just address this, and this is the only thing I will address, because if that's the quote, or if that's what was understood that I said, I've always known that it's been purchased for $109,000 from the first day I started. So if that, what I said, I misworded it, or it was miswritten.
For self-serving.